angle.
Hi everybody, this is Lee Dorn from Lee Dorn Jewelers. Welcome to Facebook Live. Today I am going to talk about sapphires. And many of you gemmies out there are aware that sapphires come in a variety of colors, almost every color. And I just happen to have a collection of loose stones and finished jewelry to share with you and some of my other people who weren't aware of that fact. And I'm going to start out with the most common color that everybody thinks of when they hear the word sapphire, and that is blue. I'm going to put them under this light and show you that these are really lovely examples of blue sapphires. You want a nice saturation of color in all sapphires, but particularly blue. I like a dark royal blue, but I like it to flash color out of it. And sapphire is a very dispersive, brilliant stone, so you should get a lot of flash and sparkle out of the stone. I don't know how well the camera is picking up, but even in this emerald cut, which is traditionally not a very brilliant cut, you should be able to see a glint and a hint of, more than a hint of color coming from it. So there's our most common color in sapphire. Changing that up a little bit, and I don't necessarily have these in order because I didn't know what order to put them in, but bear with me. I have a row of orange and yellow sapphires, and here you can clearly see the orange, the yellow in the center, and while these might look red, they're really a reddish orange in person. I have more of these. I could only fit this many in my little holder, but it does give you an example of the warmer color in sapphire. I had to look this up because I used to know it and then I forgot, but sapphire is an aluminum oxide mineral, and I believe that some of my gemological friends will call me out on this, but I think they're aluminum oxide, and there is a trace mineral that is present as this material is being formed, which determines the color. I don't know what the trace minerals are for every specific color. I would think that maybe I would hazard a guess that cobalt would be an influencer in blue. I think that there may be some iron in the sapphires that lean warmer, like the red orange, or even the red, which there isn't a red sapphire, but I'll get into that later. And the yellow, I'm not sure. So there is that. I got a little palette of sapphires here that is sort of like a line of rainbow, starting with green, yellow, orange, hot pink, purple. If I had had the room in this little tray, I would have put two blue ones out at the end, but and I do have them, but I thought I would give you, this is a great example of the different colors that sapphire come in. Notice that there aren't any reds here. I'm still getting to that in a minute. Here's a beautiful purple, and again, it's pretty dark, so you need a lot of light to pull the purple out of the stone. But again, you might see flashes of light and flashes of color coming from this darker stone. Purple is a legitimate color in sapphire. Most sapphires come from Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, etc. However, there are some recent finds. Montana happens to be a very popular source for sapphires right now, and the character of the Montana sapphires are generally different than those from Southeast Asia. They're largely blue and green. However, I've seen some yellows coming from there, and I think because they're mined in the USA, I think they're currently the rage. Here's an interesting sapphire. It's called white sapphire. However, really what it is colorless. Look at the brilliance of this stone, because again of high dispersion, which is dispersion and refractive index. Refractive index is a measure of the speed at which light travels through a given material and bends and comes back out again. You get a lot of sparkle from the gemstone sapphire. It is among the top more brilliant gemstones. But this sapphire is white sapphire and could often be mistaken for diamond. And it's a very wearable stone because sapphire is the next hardest stone to diamond. On a scale of 1 to 10, there is only one stone that is a 10, and that is diamond. There are two stones that are a 9, only two stones that are a 9. They belong in the family of corundum, of which sapphire is a member. The other member of that is ruby, which the only difference between ruby and any other color of sapphire is that a red sapphire is called ruby. That was my little secret for you. Anyway, clear sapphire, it's beautiful. I've used it in other jewelry. I bought a line of jewelry recently that is an enameled line, both in sterling silver and in gold, and they use white sapphire as accents. The nice thing about that is that instead of putting in something synthetic like cubic zirconia or moissanite or something man-made, it's actually a genuine stone, white sapphire, and it does provide the accent of brilliance to the jewelry piece. Green is also I don't know that it's a popular color in sapphire, but it's there. And most of the green sapphires that I have come across have been much like this, in that they are sort of an olive or an army green, not a bright green like emerald or savorite garnet. But this is a pretty nice example of a green. It's actually pretty, and I'm not necessarily a fan of common green sapphires because, again, they're very khaki looking or army green. This is a magnificent piece, and I just discovered this in my inventory, which probably is a symptom of a larger problem. I've got too much. But this is a golden sapphire, and I'm thinking this stone is probably 3 to 4 carats, maybe 5. I have no idea. Look at the brilliance of this, and it's golden. It could look like a citrine, except a citrine it would have a hard time being this brilliant. And a citrine would also not be quite as hard as a sapphire. And hardness is important with regards to wearability. Sapphire and diamond are, again, the hardest materials in the gem world and wearable every day. I want someone to own this stone, because while I was preparing for this event, I've come to love this stone. It's beautifully cut, it's a great size, and it's really just a perfect example of a golden sapphire color. I showed this stone to you on my last Facebook Live. This is my pink sapphire. I have a hard time calling this pink, and I don't know how it's reading on online, but while it is pink, it's more than pink. It's fuchsia or plum or something more than pink, and I'll show you a comparison between pink and this color later. But for all intents and purposes, I didn't have a better example of pink sapphire than this one. This sapphire is currently spoken for because of my last Facebook Live presentation, but it has not left my hands yet, so I decided to use it as a prop for this event. Okay, here we go with my big deceit. I would be wrong to call this stone a red sapphire. Red sapphire or rather, colored sapphire and ruby are the exact same mineral, with the exception that any red sapphire, as I had said before, is called a ruby. And there's a huge distinction in terms of value and desirability and price. This is very, very red, and sometimes within the industry you can draw a really fine line between what is a hot pink sapphire that appears towards red, or a ruby which is actually red. My description of what defines a ruby is American flag red, that blue-based red, not an orangey red, not a pinky red. Here's an example. I'm going to just pull this if I have it handy. Here's an example of a ring, and maybe this is showing up redder than I wanted it to for purposes, but look at the difference between these two, and you'll see that these end up being a little pinker. And I bought that as a ruby ring, but I would have no problem calling it a pink sapphire, and it wouldn't mean any less to me if I were to do that. But notice the difference between the two colors of hot pink and red. Some examples of finished jewelry that I wanted to show you, and I also I wanted to show you the difference between pink sapphire, the sapphires in this ring are classic hot pink sapphires. That sapphire I showed you before has plum or purple in it, you see the difference. And while I said I didn't have a better loose example of pink sapphire, you can really see that these are hot pink, and this has more nuanced shades of plum and a purplish pink and a magenta pink, but this is just hot bubblegum pink. Wanted to show you that. I've got another pink sapphire here, pink sapphire ring, that is clearly pink. It's a small ring, but a great example of pink.
You're getting comments.
Okay.
Alyssa Wilson says, "Ooh, that has my name on it."
Alyssa, yes, it's pink. It would.
And Jan was commenting that she didn't know when you compared the two. And then Christine
Vitali. Hi, Christine.
Vitali. There you go. She says, "Lee, you look fabulous. Them gems ain't bad either."
Well, thank you, Christine, in that order. I appreciate that. Do my best with what I got left. Here's a classic blue sapphire. This is a custom design ring that we had done here, and I love this ring. I've shown this ring before in probably some of my other Facebook Lives. This ring is everything I want it to be in a dark blue sapphire. It is saturated royal blue, and it's still, when you turn it or when it moves around in the light, you see flashes of royal coming out of it. This is a very fine gemstone. Here's a huge example of golden and yellow sapphire clustered in a yellow gold ring. It is set with, I don't know how many, a couple dozen round stones, but they graduate from yellow on the sides into goldens in the center, and again give you a flash of brilliance that other yellow stones would have a hard time coming up with. Maybe zircon. Speaking of yellow sapphire, here is a pair of earrings that are yellow sapphires. Look at the brilliance that you see from the yellow. They rival yellow diamonds, yet are quite a bit less expensive. They're a great accent if you wear the color yellow, and these are particularly well matched. Here's sort of a...
Jan likes the yellow.
Oh, thanks, Jan. These are copper. These are a pair of earrings that I set sideways, so they're actually supposed to hang like that. They're somewhere between an orange and a coppery brown, and the background is rhodium plated in black rhodium, so you get a nice saturation of copper color, really. I think they're very interesting and very uncommon. I haven't seen this color in sapphire very much at all in my career. Probably wrapping this up. Oh no, I got a couple more. Here's a great example of what you can do with multiple colored sapphire. You start with yellows over on this side, you move to orange, hot pink, blue, and here's a confession. These greens are not sapphires, they're Tsavorite garnets, but we put them in there because Tsavorite is really a queen of green gemstones, and as I said before, green sapphire just doesn't get this bright generally. We move over to a yellow, an orange, a pink, a blue, and another Saphirite over there. It's a beautiful bracelet, flanked with diamonds. They never hurt. And here again is a great example of 3 different sapphires in a necklace. This one is again leaning a little towards that peachy coppery color. There is a very rare sapphire called Pouragia Sapphire that takes on this color. I couldn't tell you that this is a Pouragia. I wish it were, because they are exceedingly expensive. One of the most rare sapphires on earth. The center is a very pleasing light blue, kind of I think the industry or people would maybe even call that what is commonly termed cornflower blue. It's funny because in my jewelry career, I've seen a colored sapphire, a blue sapphire called Cornflower Blue, and it comes in every shade of blue I've ever seen. So cornflower means different things to different people. Here's probably the best example of what I was talking about when it comes to green sapphires. It is again more of a khaki green or an army green. It not among my favorite colors, but it's a great example of a green. And to tell you the truth, when they're all lined up like that and they're all sapphires, it makes for a pretty interesting piece. So that's my story on sapphires. I really appreciate the fact that you tuned in. Christine, it's good to hear from you. I can see that you're doing well. Keep it up. And thanks, everybody.